Hello again, everybody. Um, so I've had some new interesting thoughts relating to the whole gender thing that I wanted to share with you for my usual reason, which is just in case it is interesting or helpful to anybody else who's also trying to think through their own gender issues or gender identity. So lately I have been in one of my phases of deliberating a lot about my gender identity and like whether I'm really trans or whether I'm just butch or what. And it's really uncomfortable. It's kind of torturous because, to not have something to say for sure, like I am this, it's kind of tough because you're just kind of like floating in this empty space for which there is no words. It's really frustrating. It's very hard for me. It's very stressful. So I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and she's very good to talk to, luckily. She has very good things to say to me, and she's very understanding, and she likes me however I am, so I'm very thankful for that. So she said to me, who knows about the future? My identity could shift in some way in the future, but for now, recently, I seem to be what she called gender fluid, which was interesting to me because I'd heard that term used by, genderqueer types of people before, and I never really liked it. It did not really appeal to me. I mean, I think it's great to be flexible about your gender or to identify with more than just one gender, you know? But then it's just uncomfortable because, like, I think of this as kind of my weakness. I like to have one identity, something that I can feel is very solid, there's words for it, there's a place for it, and so forth. I mean, I don't want to feel that way, but I kind of do. So anyways, I have not really liked the term gender fluid. But what my wife said made a lot of sense to me because I am kind of like just naturally gender fluid, not on purpose, because see, my situation is not just that I can't decide like whether I'm trans or not. That's how it feels often, but it's really that I actually kind of shift identifications at different times. Like, sometimes I will feel trans. Like, I'll feel like I want to be a guy, and I feel like that makes the most sense for me, and like I would like my body to be more like a male body, that I want people to treat me like a guy, and so on. Sometimes I really feel that way. But other times I don't. Other times I feel fine being a butch woman, and sometimes I feel quite content with my body how it is. Sometimes I really do feel that way. So it's like it shifts. It's not that I'm always just totally undecided and confused or something, but at different times I feel like I have a set identity, either like trans or butch woman, but it changes. Just for whatever reason, as time goes by, I go through phases of feeling either way, or phases of feeling unsure, I guess, also. Um, so it's that I am kind of gender fluid, even though I don't totally want to be, because my identification shifts from time to time. Um, so I was thinking, it kind of reminds me of something like coming out as gay, because being gay, it's not something that you choose or that you do on purpose. And when you realize that you're gay, or bi, or whatever, Like, you have to try to come to terms with it and accept it. You know, that's who you are, whether you like it or not. And I realized just the other day when my wife was telling me these things that maybe myself being sort of gender fluid or whatever is kind of like that. It's not what I choose. Like I said before, when I heard the term gender fluid, I didn't really like want to identify with it. But I think what my wife said makes sense in that I am kind of gender fluid, and it's like being gay. It's not really a choice, but that's maybe how I am. So I just maybe need to try to come to terms with it, which is what my wife said. She said that um, I often put forth such an effort to try to come to a conclusion, make a decision about the gender stuff, and I run away from feeling kind of in between or gender fluid because it's very uncomfortable and stressful for me and frustrating. But she said that maybe it would ultimately be more helpful if I could instead just try to accept how I am, which is this, regardless of what I want to call it, or that I should try to accept the fact that I am kind of in between, or accept the fact that I kind of switch from time to time in my identification. And I saw that as kind of like a Buddhist type of thought. And the Buddhist approach, like that, like accepting how things are and not struggling, um, and also just being aware of how you really are and being aware of your thoughts and your feelings. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it always has, although that's not to say it's easy by any means. So I guess I want to try that out, see how it feels to have a different approach and to try to accept myself and to accept the discomfort of being in the middle or undecided or whatever you want to call it. I also wanted to add a quote from a TV show, funnily enough, that I heard just the other day, and it kind of resonated with me because it relates to what I was just talking about. So I was watching Breaking Bad on Netflix. I love it. I'm totally addicted. It's such a good show. Although it has given me a nightmare. But aside from that, it's very good. Anyway, so one of the characters, this kind of young guy who he's on meth, and then his girlfriend gets him hooked on heroin, and then his girlfriend dies, and then he goes to rehab. So he's in rehab, sitting in the little circle, and the leader says, which of you are here for self-improvement, like to consciously put forth effort to improve yourself? And everybody in the circle raises their hand. And then he says, well, that's your first mistake. You should be here for working on self-acceptance. I thought that was quite interesting, this contrast between self-improvement and self-acceptance. Because I think self-improvement can often be very forceful. You're trying to make yourself change, but first of all, it's not always possible, so it's kind of futile a lot of times, and it's kind of like being in denial. You don't want to deny aspects of yourself, because sometimes that can be kind of related to self-hatred. That's just counterproductive. I think if you act out of self-hatred or denying parts of yourself, then you're just going to end up more stuck and more dysfunctional. So I think it does make more sense to work for self-acceptance. I mean, of course, you do want to try to accomplish things and be a good person, but then at the same time, you can only change yourself so much. At a certain point, you just need to accept accept yourself and accept your struggles and know that this is how you are. And as long as you're trying to be a good person, then you just have to try to be conscious of the other parts of you and just try to accept them just like you would accept a friend or a family member. Which again, much easier said than done, for sure. For sure. Well, I'd be interested to hear if anybody else feels similarly, or if you have experiences identifying as gender fluid, or seeing different forms of being gender fluid among friends, or whatever. I'd be interested to hear. So, thank you very much for watching and listening. I really do appreciate your comments and messages, and it means a lot to me. It helps me to feel validated. It helps me to feel like we're all in this together. So, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.